Hello again, my dearie friends. How you doing? I hope you're well. Well, today with us we have I have a very interesting proposition. Would you be interested in a job? I'm guessing the answer is an astounding no. Because who the would be interested in a job in this economy? Exactly. I mean, everybody is, but everybody says they're hiring, except when they're not actually, they don't actually hire. They're just saying that they are hiring, but they're not really hiring, which is the beauty of life, I'd argue. But, alas, I think I have a proposition. If you ever so happen to get yourself a job, be weary. If you find yourself having a job, I think our dear friend Five Nights at Freddy's can make you a better employee. And I know how that sounds, but bear with me. Alright? So, I think I'm just gonna start with explaining, for anybody who isn't all too familiar, what Five Nights at Freddy's is. Five Nights at Freddy's is an indie horror game that turned into AAA slop, in my opinion, but that's a topic for another day. Five Nights at Freddy's is an indie horror game in which you are a minimum wage security guard in a pizza establishment and you get hunted down by various different animatronics. Now, specifically, I'm going to be taking the premise of how Five Nights at Freddy's 2 can make you better at your job. Why 2? Because I think it's the best, but other than that, let's just jump right into it. Now, how exactly can Five Nights at Freddy's make you better at your job? Well, here's the thing. In Five Nights at Freddy's 2, you have to deal with 11 different animatronics all at once, hunting you down, trying to take you down. Now, these animatronics are separated into different groups. The first group being, obviously, the vent ones, Mangle, Toy Bunny, Toy Chica, Withered Bunny, and Withered Chica. And Balloon Boy, who I forgot for a moment there, but it's fine. The hallway guys, who are Withered Foxy, Withered Freddy, Toy Freddy, and then two separate animatronics who work as miscellaneous / office, who are Golden Freddy and the Puppet. Now, let's say first night of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, you're only dealing with a couple of enemies. Let's say you're dealing with the toys, you're dealing with Toy Chica, Toy Bonnie, Toy Freddy, and you're mainly dealing with Toy Chica and Toy Bonnie, let's be realistic there. That is not difficult to deal with, as those two characters are very, very easy on their own to manage. Night 2, you deal with the Withers, who throw in a curveball where you have a set reaction time to them. If you see them and if they see you, you have a set reaction time for them. But that is only for Withered Freddy, Withered Chica, and Withered Bonnie. For Withered Foxy, there is a third curveball where if you see him, you need to use your flashlight. That is the second level, and that automatically in itself gives you multiple balls to juggle all at once, but not fast. You still have to deal with the puppet since level 1, that is one of the main cases, so right now you have 4 different balls to juggle. That is without including Mangle, who also appears in those 2 levels, I believe, Balloon Boy, who also appears, but they went vent crawlies. They are directly similar to the other ones, so they don't actually add any more balls to the juggle pile, but they definitely make it a little bit more annoying. And that is without including the mighty and fabulous Golden Freddy, which in total would mean 5 different mechanics that you would have to master in order to juggle all of the balls properly. And that is only if you're doing them like, let's say, 10-1, which is all the animatronic AI at level 1, meaning they are very inactive and they are very easily manageable. Now, where this does become a problem is when you're doing the mighty and infamous 10-20 mode, aka all 10 animatronics at the AI level of 20. meaning they are more than aggressive, they are out for blood, and they are ready to kill. No matter what, nothing is going to stop them except for you and your brain. Now, if Five Nights at Freddy's was not a horror game, the actual effect of how it can make you work under pressure would be definitely lower. As well, I made the Dark Souls video, but I never mentioned once how it can make you better at your job. Sure, it can improve your reaction time, sure it can do this and that. In Dark Souls, there's no real pressure that when you fail, you just go back. There's no pressure. It's just, yes, there's a failure, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. In Five Nights at Freddy's, you're actively fighting fear alongside trying to juggle balls, which whenever I say that, it's funny when I say juggling balls, alright? I have a mind. And in Five Nights at Freddy's, it is so different because you are defenseless, as everybody always mentions about Five Nights at Freddy's games. You are a defenseless child, basically, trying to fight off all these monsters. And that kind of reflects my job, personally, because I don't do much but sit around and look at a screen and just juggle things that I need to do at my job. Now, what Five Nights at Freddy's excels at is making you fearful of everything. The pressure of Five Nights at Freddy's is not in the juggling of the animatronics itself. No, it is in the fear of losing. In Five Nights at Freddy's, a loss isn't just going back to square one. It is getting punished by getting jump scared, then going back to square one. There is an active punishment, two of them, one of them being the square one, the other being the jump scare, of course. There are two active punishments for you if you fail a level, and there is that sense of dread where you don't want those punishments, not because you're necessarily afraid of the jump scare, but because it just doesn't feel nice getting jump scared. Failing at work means you might not get fired for making a mistake, but you're gonna get scolded like a jump scare. And everybody knows getting scolded at work is definitely not a top 10 experience of all time. Let's be realistic here. But at the same time, in Five Nights at Freddy's, fear is used as a motivator of many and many of your successes. Being fearful and dreadful and motivating yourself to not fail, to succeed in this challenge, shows that other than just making you better at your job, it is going to make you fearful, not of your job in a sense, but the consequences of not doing your job correctly, which in Five Nights at Freddy's leads to your character dying, you getting jump scared, and you getting pushed back to square one. That is the essential difficulty that Five Nights at Freddy's brings in by making you... Now, let's be realistic here. This video idea is stupid. It does not really make sense. Just because you play Five Nights at Freddy's does not make you better at your job. But I wanted to make a video about this, and I want to make a video that was more goofy than my previous Dark Souls take, and the more mental dark side, Dark Souls and everything. I wanted to take a mental prospect that was less serious, that was more just for fun and just for laughs. And if you enjoyed, I'm not going to say the thing. I'm not going to say smash the like button. All I'm going to ask of you is keep in tune, keep your headsets ready, and click the notification bell. Yes, I'm going to say that at least. And hit the subscribe button, please. Yeah. And keep in tune for more content like this. Content? Who says content? For more content like this. Good luck out there.